All right, welcome to another episode of Investing with Quito. Got my co-host here, Jeremy. Jeremy, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm actually from home today, so I don't have my beautiful portrait in the background.
All right,
So I'm at home with a basketball hoop in the back.
all
So
right.
it's great. So
Yeah, that's a great thing about like real estate or running your business. You could be anywhere, right? I mean,
yeah,
just wherever you're at, you've got an internet connection. I mean, I know we've done it in the car before, right? We're running around doing things like, hey, let's get on in the car. We're talking real estate. So, so
it's
that's
pretty great that technology lets us do that. Like work anywhere, be anywhere, travel places still work, right? It's great.
Mhm. Awesome. Yeah, I kind of want to talk about the topic about, because as you know, there's so many different ways of doing real estate, right? And when we look at these, call it gurus or like, they're like heavy hitters, like the Grant Cardones, the Pace Morby, Ryan Pineda, Michael
Hmm.
Cooper, all those guys. It's great. I mean, they're out there doing their thing, right? And sometimes we look at them, it's like, man, like I don't know if I can, like especially like Grant Cardone, he's got over 10,000 units or something like that. And like that's just
Hmm.
insane. We looked at that, I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to have 10,000 units, right? And when you think, gosh,
Yeah.
I, yeah, I don't, I'm not going to be able to get to 100 units, right? Or maybe like it doesn't seem, I mean, it's possible to see other people do it, but then you might not believe in yourself, like thinking that it's possible for me, right?
Yeah.
So what I wanted to share is like you don't have to do what they do, right? Like all these people that you listen to kind of take some stuff off of, you know, like there's no right or wrong way to do real estate. I think. I mean, you just find something that works for you and just kind of do it. Take a little piece from here, take a little piece from there, right?
Hmm.
And I think like if you just because I know Michael Zuber talks about this all the time, like just get to 4 units, right? Just get to 4 units. And once you get there, I guarantee you that you're going to be obviously, you're going to gain some new skill sets. You're going to be a different
Hmm.
person by the time you've acquired 4 units. All right. So I just kind of want to use live example. Let's just kind of scale back and like, let's use your example, right? I know you
Hmm.
just acquired another property. So
Hmm.
kind of share with the audience like what that process is like for you and and how you're processing that, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. I totally relate with you on just doing something and getting started is way more, it's more overwhelming than it actually is. So we first started, we bought our first home and it was upstairs, downstairs, rented out the basement, took the upstairs, house hacked, right? And as soon as we're moving in, I'm like, oh man, is this a terrible decision? What am I doing? This is too much. Are we ever going to find a renter? Blah, 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 blah. And it turned out to be fine. It was great. And then we did it again, and I'm sitting over on that couch. I'm like, oh man, why did I do this? I'm not going to find a renter. This is too big. Like, there's too much stuff to do. We're going to lose money. And it's been 2 years ago, right? So like all this stuff, it's always worse than you think, and it's just taking the next step to just get started, like you said. And it's like, okay, I don't have 10,000 units. I don't even have 10 units. So it's like just taking that step and getting started, you do learn more in that moment of just doing it than you would just trying to think about how to do 10 units or to get it done right now. It is really just those steps of taking a step, taking some action and doing something that produces the confidence to go and do it more. So then having this last property, getting it, I got it. It was a little nerve-wracking, but it's like, okay, I can do this, right? Like I know what to do. I can do this. And then I did it. And it was like, okay, that wasn't so bad. It was pretty anticlimactic in a sense where it's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I can do this now, and I did it. That's great. It's a good feeling to do that. And then it's like, oh, I could do that again. I could do that twice. I could do that 3 times this year. Like that's an exciting confidence to get that. And then it's like, okay, 100 doesn't sound terrible, too far off, right? In a couple of years, right? That doesn't sound too bad.
Mhm. Right. Or even like, because when we initially think like, oh man, like not everybody needs 100 units. Not everybody needs 50 units. Not everybody needs 30 units or 20, whatever that is. Like not everybody needs that. But I think what's important is they start to think, hey, well, let's just set a goal, right? Let's just get to 4 units. Because when you have 4 units, that could really change your, that could definitely be financial. Because just think if you're getting $500 per unit, let's just say, that's $2,000, right? An
Hmm.
extra $2,000 a month, that that could save people, right?
Hmm.
I mean, they
Yeah.
say like I was listening to someone like 70% of Americans don't even have $500 saved in their bank account. They're literally like one paycheck from just going.
70.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, seventy
Oh my goodness.
percent, 70% of the population, right, has does not have $500 in their checking account.
Dude, and make that even worse, I've heard a similar statistic where most Americans have about 15 to $20,000 of credit card debt, of some kind of consumer debt. So not
Mhm.
only do they have 500 bucks in the bank, they're 20 grand in the hole.
Exactly. So they're already stacked against them, right? So when you think
Hmm.
about like, oh, hey, if I can just get to 4 units, I can figure out a way. And like I said, there's so many different ways to do it, right? Whether and there's no like right or wrong way to do something, right? And once you get through,
Hmm.
but the key thing is that you take the steps, you figure out what works for you. Because for some people, time freedom is important to them, and then they don't need 50, they don't need 100 units to achieve that, right?
Hmm.
And for them, if they're happy with, 6, 7 units and it works for them, that's great. So whatever that goal is for the individual, right? I think it's important just to let people know, like, when we see all these, gurus out there having some big, massive numbers and think, oh man, I could never do that. Okay, that's great. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, you could be inspired by them and like see that that's possible, but
Hmm.
you don't necessarily have to think that in order for me to be successful in real estate, I'm going to need 100 units. I'm going to need 10,000 units. No, that's not it. Those guys, they are like, they're the 1% of the 1%, right? And you don't
Hmm.
have to, you can be inspired by them, but just know that you don't have to be like them. Like what you do and what works for you, that's what's important, right? You set yourself a goal, whatever that goal is for you, right? And that's why I think if you set a goal to get like 4 rental properties, however you do, whether it takes you 5 years, whether it takes you 10 years, it doesn't matter, right? Just start to set that goal, because once you get to that 4, I mean, if you want to go for more, great, because you develop new skill set. You're going to be in a different mindset, and you just can be a totally different person. Like, even for example, just your example, from your first one to the one to what you just done. I mean, what's the difference in terms of like how you feel about yourself and the understanding and the knowledge that you gain by this is about your third year, right? That
Hmm.
so
Yeah. Truly, it is about personal growth, and you just become better and that type of person. I think you change. Obviously, you grow in knowledge, you grow in skills, but then you change of what you can handle and your capacity, and also just your, for lack of a better word, anxiety, I think. And it's really comforting to know that everyone still deals with that. I heard a talk from Jerry Norton, who does like, millions of dollars a year in flipping homes, wholesaling, reconstruction projects in Puerto Rico. And he was like, guys, I still just lie awake at night because I'm nervous about this build that I'm doing because I have no idea what I'm doing. And like, this is a new thing for me and I'm learning, I'm growing. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'll do that again. And then it's great. And you keep learning new things. So no matter what stage you're at, whether you're getting your first home and just making that first call or going to see a property, or you're on your 100th, like if you're stretching yourself, you're growing yourself. And it's uncomfortable, but that's where opportunities is uncomfortableness. And you just adapt and you grow if you have that attitude and you have that perseverance and patience. Because if you don't quit and you have a mind to learn, like you can achieve a lot,
right,
right? A lot.
for sure. And I mean, for the majority of the audience, right? I mean, like, entrepreneurs, we are like a different breed of people. Let's say, I mean, we
Yep.
we love pain, and it is like we love to like suffering is our deal, right? And I'm saying that's not for everybody, right? And the thing is that you don't have
Hmm.
to be an entrepreneur to be a successful investor in real estate.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I was encouraged, like, if you have a W-2 job and it pays you good money, great. Stick with that and start building something on the side that will give you some
Hmm.
options, right? Because if you're someone that likes stability, right, that consistent paycheck, I tell you what, being an entrepreneur, that is not for you, right? Because you have high highs, and the lows are lows. I mean, it's like a big roller coaster. And I mean, I've
Hmm.
been doing this for 20 years, right? And my swings is not as big as before, but there's still swings. And I think for the majority of the audience, they wouldn't they wouldn't be able to handle what I handle. And then
Right.
not to say that I'm anything special, but I'm just wired differently, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to be wired like me or wired like you to succeed in real estate, but you just gotta be able to take that step and say, hey, you know what, have a go. Let's just shoot for this. Versus thinking like, they say like a journey of 1,000 miles, just one step at a time. Right. I remember
Hmm.
that lady, she was, I think it was like 60 or 70 years old. And she literally walked 1,000 miles. And they interviewed her and they said, hey, what was it like? What's your process? Because you know what? I just take one step at a time, right? So instead of seeing like, oh, I need an X amount of homes right away, like, you don't need that. Let's just scale it back and let's just start with let's just shoot for four. Because
Hmm.
once you get to four, then you can, decide, wow, and getting to your next one might be, or maybe you just want to just start with, and that's okay, right? Like however you do however you do the real estate game, it's really your own, it's your own journey, right?
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
there's a lot of great mentors out there that can help you, but doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do exactly what they do, right?
Right.
Like
Hmm.
you don't need to be a Grant Cardone. I think he's like very like I don't know, less than a 0.5% of a
Oh
1%.
man.
I mean, he's just
Hmm.
a different
Hmm.
beast. And, I think, but you could be inspired by him, and you could, kind of learn some of the stuff that he does, and scale it back to your life, right? And I think that's why we like to watch sports, right? Because
Yes. Hmm.
we
Hmm.
see the athletes, I mean, and they're the one percenters, and they're
Right.
out there in the court, and you're like, I mean, that's so great. Just like the Olympics that we just recently had, the Summer Olympic. Holy smokes. I mean, a lot of records being broken. I mean, it was just amazing. And we watch it because we can get inspired by them, right?
Hmm.
Doesn't mean that we need to go out and, in gymnastics be a Simone Biles or someone like that,
Yeah.
right? But we could be inspired by them, like, oh wow, that's great. So
So
that's
could you
one.
paint the picture for us, Keto, on let's say like someone's non-entrepreneur, they're a job guy, and they just got to four rental properties by the time they're 35. And so they have a home, they have four rental properties at 35. By 65, they should all be paid off, right? And so what does that even look like for someone who's like, yeah, I love my job, I'm perfectly content. What kind of like retirement would that be for someone? Like,
Well, I mean, just think about it. Just say that, by the time they're 65, all those homes are paid free and clear. By then I could imagine whatever the rental market is. So just say right now, you know, an average rent for a 3 bedroom, we're looking at about 13 to 1400 bucks, right? For 3 bedroom.
mhm,
So you imagine just say 1,200, 1,200 times that's $4,800, right?
mhm,
$4,800 a month. Wow, that that's about almost $60,000 a year, right?
mhm.
Roughly. So that's like someone's income, right? That's someone's
Yeah.
income. Not only are they getting income from that, and I'm not even. tapping on like the depreciation, all that tax benefit that they're getting. I'm just purely talking about just cash flow, right? Almost $5,000 a month each month that comes in. And now they can choose,
Hmm.
like whatever. I would imagine by that time, they're probably going to have more than 4 units, right? I mean, they're going to be like, oh, wow,
Hmm.
this is
Hmm.
great. They're going to catch the bug and they're going to want to continue. I would imagine, but if they just like, hey, look, I'll just stop at 4 and I'm done, great, right? Collecting $5,000 a month in income, that's that's a decent life, right? I mean, you're not going to suffer.
Hmm.
I imagine you'll have your 401k. You've been with the company that long, so you'll have your pension on top of the $5,000 a month that you're collecting each month, right?
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
and you can choose to spend your time how you want to spend it. 65 is still young. I used to think like
Yeah.
65 is old, but people are living so much longer now.
Yeah. Not anymore. 65 is not young anymore.
Right. And so like this, like we're living longer, and if we don't invest in ourselves, right, we're gonna run out of money. Right. So
Hmm.
that's why it's so important, like you start now, because 20 years is gonna come by, 5 years is gonna come by, 10 years gonna like it's gonna happen, right? As long as the Lord takes you home early, right? But bearing everything,
Hmm.
like it's gonna happen. So take that time and have it work for you, right? Have it work for you. Still keep your W-2 job, continue to invest on the side. You get to that 4. I can guarantee you when you get there, you're going to be so different that you're going to see things differently, and you're like, oh man, you know what? Maybe I'll go for maybe I'll go for 6. Once you get to 6, like, well, I'll go for 8. I'll go for 10, and then soon you're like, oh wow, I've got this portfolio. And not to say that you have to get to 10 or get to 20 or get to 50 or 100. Like, you don't
Hmm.
have to get there, but if your goal is to get to where you want to go, just make that progression. But don't get overwhelmed by thinking, gosh, I need 50 units. I need 100 units.
Yeah.
That's
Right now.
Yeah, that's not the case. Like, just start shooting for 4, and I think that's more for the majority of the people. I think that is more. I mean, it's all possible, right? Doing big numbers, but it's more probable to get to your 4 versus thinking, oh,
Hmm.
that 4 is possible, but then you get intimidated that you don't want to start, right? So like, well, let's just start with, let's just have a goal, shoot for 4, whether it takes me 5 years or 10 years, whatever. Just, or 4 years, just one platform, whatever that is for you. Set yourself that goal, and then you can start building up. So
Yeah.
that's
Goals are important, I think. If you have no goal at all of a timeline or how many houses or whatever, or what you even want, right? It's like you have a really unclear vision of where you're going. And if you don't know, have any kind of like any heading, right? You're just kind of, you can just go like this to any new object, any new deal, any new opportunity, and you're never going anywhere. You just kind of just stayed in the same place,
right,
right? So
right,
having those goals and actually having some kind of trajectory gives you a starting place to go forward and then you can make those jumps and you can make those moves,
right.
always going towards that goal.
And it is important too, like like to know thyself, right? The Bible talks about like knowing
Hmm.
thyself. You just knowing your own temperament, what that is, right? And
Hmm.
able to, to understand what that is, and use that to your advantage, right? Because I mean, like, not everybody loves to cold call, right? Yeah, sure, everybody could do it, but not everybody is like, oh, not everybody's wired to do that. They could do it,
Hmm.
but that's not the thing, right? Like, I'm not wired to sit behind a desk for 8 hours a day. Could I do it? Possible, but I'm not going to be like, I wouldn't be me. But if I had to do it, I'll do it, but I won't last long. I mean, and I've done it before when in the market, took a dive. I took a W-2 job, and I I think I lasted, less than 6 months. I mean, it was even maybe less than 4 months, but I didn't last long. But I
Dude,
had to
guys,
do,
I gotta get out of here.
yeah, but I had to do what I had to do at that time. Just knowing like,
Hmm.
oh, wow, this is just not me sitting behind the desk being told what to do. And for some people, they're totally okay with that. That's fine, and jumping in to be an entrepreneur like you and I, that's not for everybody. Could everybody do it? It's
Hmm.
possible, but not for everybody. So you find what works for you, and you do those things, whatever that is for you. And because real estate is there's so many different ways to make money in real estate. Like you could find
Hmm.
out, like maybe you're good at just talking to people, but not necessarily getting leads. Some people are good at getting leads, but they're not good with really like converting it. So there's an opportunity to team up with them. And that's why I think being in a community, right? I I know we're
Hmm.
in different communities, and I mean, I'll just use example Pace Morby. It's got a great community, and that's how we met. Where in that
Hmm.
community, and because it's a community, we all can collaborate and share and help each other out. Right? So that's why
Hmm.
it's so important because you could use your skill sets, you could help other people, you could collaborate. I think instead of thinking about competition, we could do more about collaboration. And back in the days, it used to be like more of a dog eat dog, where when it comes to investing, everybody's just like,
Really?
you know, taking advantage of each other. I mean, it's just really just tough to get there. But um, with the social media and the things are evolving, so where you can actually do more by collaborating with other people, right? So I always say it's like it's better to get, instead of getting one big slice, right, is to get smaller slices, but a lot of smaller slices because it adds to a bigger slice, right?
Hmm.
So you make up in quantity versus like 100% of nothing is still nothing, right? Like 100%
Right.
is still nothing. But if you get 10 or 20% of something, that's better than 100% of nothing, right?
That's right.
So it's
Hmm.
a mindset,
Especially if people are better in those fields you're terrible at,
right?
right?
Absolutely. So I mean, if you're just able to complement, and so that's why I like saying it is no one, and I always stress, start with the four and just get there. Because I know in previous episode I talked about you know where I've gotten up to like 80 units in a short amount of time, right? Like you don't have to do that, right? And that can be intimidating or the
Hmm.
majority of the people to say, hey, you need to get 80 units, right? Or 60 units in like, 6 months, right? Like you don't have to do that. But yet you can still reach your financial goals, right? Just break it down, just start small, right? Just get to that four. And then from there you can just start scaling.
Hmm. Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, that's what people, uh, once you realize that it's your life and you make decisions, like you got to stop living what other people think you should, what you even think other people think you should do things. But it's like, what do you want? What do you really want? And then go for it, make a plan, make it happen because no one else is going to do it for you.
Absolutely.
And the time's going to go by and you're still going to think about it and you're going to wish you did it 5 years ago or wish you just did something because you started and you're going to regret
Exactly.
and you don't want to have regret. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important. Like join a community, join a group of people that are
Hmm.
doing the things that you want to do, because that is just gonna really help accelerate you. I mean, it's just like because I know you do CrossFit, right? And isn't it so much better if you do it in a group, even though it's individualized because you're going at your own level, but you do it
Uh-huh.
in a group, so much better, right? So much better than
You
doing
have to. Yeah. I did one today and I did it by myself because no one else was there. And it was terrible. Terrible. But earlier this week I did one that was also terrible, but it was a lot of fun because everyone else is being terrible and it's suffering with you. Like there's some and like afterwards, like, yeah, great run. That was awesome. Like you just need people next to you to encourage you, challenge you, like have you push more than you think you can. And it's like in the end, you're like, hey, great work. Like do it, let's do it again next week. Right.
Right.
You need those people.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be in a community that's going to help you grow, it's going to help you push. I mean, and I love, those like watching the the big real estate influencers. I mean, they're great to watch, they're really inspiring, a lot of good stuff, right? Just
Hmm.
take a little piece of that, take that knowledge and just do what work for you. Like you don't have to be like a Ken McElroy, right?
Hmm.
Have to
Hmm.
be, you don't have to be a Chris Morley. You don't have to be Michael Zuber, right? But because those are the guys that I watch. Those are the guys that wow,
Uh-huh.
they're inspiring. So I just kind of take a little piece of that and do this and that, and here I am, right? So, and that's what I want to encourage our audience to think about. Like, don't get intimidated by the big stuff, by all the gurus or the 1% of the 1% that are doing this stuff and thinking, oh man, that's not for me. And you're right, it's not for you because you shouldn't be, trying to go out and get a 10,000 units because that's not your um, I guess that's not who you are, right? Find out who you
Hmm.
are and make it work for you. Get inspired by what's possible because they see, hey, what's possible to, it's possible. You don't necessarily have to be the one getting there, right? You scale it to what works for you because ultimately it's your life, right?
Hmm.
What works for you for what some people, because I remember years ago where I just think, man, if if I can make, you know, say $1,000 a month extra, that would be great, right? Or when I hear someone taking like, man, $10,000 a month, that would be like, I think, man, I don't know how I'm gonna get there, right? But it's like,
Yeah.
well, I know it was possible, right? But then if I scale it back, so well, let me just shoot and let's make that first $1,000, right? And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, let's get another one. Let's see, we can double that. Let's get to two, and then you start to just but if I just say, man, I'm going to get to an X amount and the number just seems outrageous, it would be so intimidating that I don't want to start. If I just scale it back, well, let me start with this. Let me get to that.
Hmm.
And then from there, you can build up.
Yeah. I mean, even right in Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki talks about his first property. It was like some kind of condo on, I think it was in Maui or something for like 20 grand. He was so nervous to buy it. And I'm just like, just get it, just do it. And now what's he worth? Like billions of dollars, something like that. He's worth a lot of money. But it started with just one little condo, right? Wasn't even that good of a deal, I think, right? Like wasn't a stellar deal, but he just got started.
Exactly. And that's what I want to encourage your audience. Like, let's just
Hmm.
get started. Don't think about 100 units or 1,000 units. Like, you know, instead of just go for 4 units. And then when you get to four, you want to go more, great. But just number wise, I mean, four is like a magic number. I know Pace Morby recently put out, I think he put out something on his like Instagram reels or lives or whatever, where he said, get to 5 units. Great. Like get there. Right. Because and Pace, I think has I don't know, close to 2,000 years, whatever. Like you don't need to
Uh-huh.
like you don't need to be a page. We could be inspired by him. He's a great mentor,
Hmm.
a lot
Hmm.
of great content, right? But at the end of the day, he wants you to do like do you. And it's like when people see us, like, man, I can't do that. That's why he said, you know what, get to five, get to 5 units. So you can get there and you can start then you can decide, okay, wow, you know what? I know it's probable, it's possible. I can do. I got to 4, got to 5, and if you want to still great. But if you get intimidated by the big numbers, for most people, they don't even want to get started because they're just so intimidated by it.
Hmm. That's right. That's right.
Now, anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
I just think that's so stellar. I think with social media and all these people are put out there, like I mean, there's so many people on social that like there's a Pace and there's a Grant and there's 50 other people that are just as high level as them that you've never heard of because of social, and there's so many people like that out there.
Right,
And there's so many people consuming that that's like, oh, I can never do that. I'm not like them. And I think it is encouraging, and it's true that like you started somewhere. You started with one property. I
mhm,
started with one property, and you just get started and you learn and you grow and you can do it, and you can totally do it. And once you hit that number, just be like, or have a goal. It's like you can do this, and you're totally capable of doing that. And with people like Keto and myself and our community here in Billings and sub to, like there's people that help you to do it, and it's not scary. It is scary, but it's not scary on the other side.
right, right, for sure, for sure. And I mean, and that's why we even started this channel, right? Just to share content. And I know I've kind of told you, like, I want to start a YouTube channel years ago. It keeps going back up and down, up and down. Like, you know what, I'm just gonna commit, right? Like, I know we might have, I think we have like about 100 subscribers, but that's okay. We just got to start, because when we look at other channels, like, man, they got 50,000 subscribers. Oh, great. But the thing is, but if you don't start now, right, we're
Hmm.
never going to get there, right? So start now, wherever you're at, set yourself a goal. Don't be intimidated by the big numbers, right? Just start yourself with a goal. And like for us, starting this, YouTube channel, you being, my co-host, we're working on being that consistent, right? Like once a week,
Hmm.
we're on
Yeah.
here, we're talking about the deals that we're doing, we're just sharing and just putting it out there. That's it. And if we're
Yep.
just continuing to say, maybe we'll land and something will resonate with what we do. It's like, oh man, they'll continue to tune in. So
Yeah. And also it's just for us too. It's like we need to grow in that, right? It's like we do it for consistency's sake so that we can grow and we can
absolutely,
sharpen each other. And it's not even for like, oh, we hope that all these people are going to flood in and do deals with us. It's like, no, we just need to get better at this. And this is how we start. Right.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So if you find this valuable, like and subscribe, and we're just continue to learn, to grow, and just want to provide value for all you guys that are listening. So thank you for
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jeremy. I just want to acknowledge you for helping me be accountable and being consistent at recording these calls and just sharing with the world. And I hope they can find it useful. And it's a good way for us to document our journey, because
Yeah.
again, we can look back, we can look at these videos like, oh man,
That is true. Yeah. I love that. That's exciting.
All right. Well, thanks guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.